Hello, Facebook people. My name is Neil Thrussell with the Shindao Institute, and I'm really stoked and excited to bring and share with you my friend Scott Schilling from way over in Las Vegas right now. And I'm just so super excited. And welcome, Scott.
Thanks, Neil. This is always fun to get together with you.
Yeah. So I don't spend a great deal of time with accolades on whatever all of my guests are, but I met Scott 4 years ago, a while ago, at something called the Evolutionary Business Council. We had a retreat. So Scott, who lives in Texas, flew to Calgary, and I went to Canmore, and we're doing a meet and greet. And I don't know whether it was Scott came to me or I came to Scott, but it was pretty much stick my hand out and said, "Hi, my name's Neil, and I do heart-based work." And Scott got this little smirk on his face, and it was beautiful. And he just says, "Hi, my name is Scott Schilling, and I do heart-based selling." And that's right then and there. I can say it unabashed as a man. I fell in love with Scott. It was like any man that's going to share that he teaches heart-based selling, and he's just a big old squishy heart. So that's how I met Scott. So welcome, welcome, welcome.
Thank you, thank you. That was a fun day. It was fun to be able to share that just in that way. You fly across the border in Austin, you land, and it's just like, this is cool. It was fun.
And it was. So Scott and I have had some spiritual discussions, and so that's why I really wanted to have Scott come on to the show, because Scott is one of those that got a little bit of a wake-up call in his life, and so many people get a wake-up call and they ignore it. And to me, Scott has done so many wonderful things, but in the last little while, he's taken his life exponential. Like, as a young, handsome, good-looking lad, he played college football. He's sold on some huge stages. But to me, what was so impressive in the last little while is 2 or 3 years ago. Was it 2 years ago you had a stroke?
Yeah, just a little bit over ago. It was about middle or beginning of December 2014. I was going to a speaking event and went to the back of my car, balanced a box of books on my knee, flipped open the back hatch of my SUV, ducked underneath it, and as fast as I threw the hatch up, it came down and smacked me in the back of the head. Well, what we didn't realize at the time, I did have quite the headache and quite the different things, but what I did is I actually dissected a vessel in my brain. What that means is the inner and the outer walls of a vessel, an artery in my brain, created a flap. And 8 days later, I was out in LA shooting some TV shows, some infomercials, and I was walking along, and all of a sudden my legs stopped. And I looked down, and I was on two tingling stumps, and got disoriented and grabbed a railing. And I was walking with 7 people, 3 of them doctors. Coincidence? I think not. But the first question, one of them spun around. He said, "What's your phone number?" And I gave him my phone number. I said, "Why would you ask me that now? Can't you see I can't walk?" He goes, "Oh, no reason." Well, I was in the middle of a very significant cerebellum stroke. And by the grace of God, I walk away with nothing.
And yes, and that's incredible. That story in itself, there's doctors there, walked away from it. But I'm impressed that you took your life, whatever it was, at a level, and you amped it up. What did you, from a spiritual point of view, what did it do to you? Like the stroke?
Well, so with that, they looked at me and we went to the emergency room. 5 hours in the emergency room, and they released me with a major migraine. And literally, I felt like my head was going to blow off. And the pain got so bad. I went back to my hotel room. I was laying down. I couldn't sleep. And the pain got so bad that I literally cried out, "God, help." And I heard an audible, "Drop to your knees." And so I did. I slid out of bed and I had my elbows up on the bed. And I said, Lord, I've been teaching your plan and timing is perfect for the last couple of years now. I am not going to pretend to understand this plan or this timing. I do not believe your plan is to call me home. I do not believe your plan is to maim me or disable me. So I'm choosing to believe that your plan is to wake me up. Duly noted, you got my attention. And that I'm supposed to use this event to serve and save myself and others physically and spiritually for the rest of my life. And if that, in fact, is your plan for my life, I ask for your wisdom and guidance going forward so I execute that appropriately. And if that's not your plan for my life, I just want you to know whatever you have planned for me, I'm good with. And I crawled back up, but it wasn't into bed. It was onto a cloud. Total peace. Never felt it before. I've never felt it since. No, zero pain, straight to sleep. And I just took that as exactly what the prayer said. I'm supposed to use this event to serve myself and others spiritually and physically for the rest of my life. And just by the grace of God, by the way that it all turned out, literally it wasn't until 2 days later that they did an MRI, and the doctor's first words were, get your ass to the hospital, check into ICU, you've had a stroke. And then I spent 6 days of intensive care. And I swear the only thing that they were trying to do is figure out why I was alive. They weren't trying to get me alive. And when they couldn't figure it out, I heard him talking in the hallway, and the doctor said, look at his MRI. I mean, he's in there laughing, goofing off with us, like nothing's happened. We got 2 other stroke patients on the floor. Their MRI's nothing near his. They're both in deep trouble. I don't get it. And so I kind of shouted out, well, I got it. And the neurosurgeon looks in and he goes, what? I said, I got it all figured out. So the whole team walked in the room. He said, okay, smart guy, what is it? I said, it's obvious. It's God's grace, mercy, and favor on my life. He goes, well, that's as good an answer as we got. And they walked out.
Yeah, and it's beautiful. So were you born, like you were talking about God? So were you raised in a church environment, a spiritual environment, or did you evolve to it?
I went to church as a kid, and I was raised in the Dutch Reformed Church, but I wouldn't say that I was a very tapped in or tied in Christian. It was more as I got down to Texas, I got into the Bible Belt, and I had some other butt kickings in my life up until that time. And I think sometimes we get tapped on the shoulder. We get tapped on the shoulder, and then finally we get hit with a 2x4.
Yes.
And, I had a bunch of tappings. So I had gotten more into it, and I got more into a spiritual relationship. And one of the things that I found, actually, I was speaking in Singapore, and I created my pre-event prayer as I walked onto stage. And it was really weird. At the time, it was the biggest audience I'd ever spoken in front of, probably about 5,000 people. And so I felt
I'd be saying a prayer too in front of 5,000 people.
But here's what's funny, is not only did I say it before I went on stage, I said it on stage. I actually opened up my entire talk that way. And it just set this different tone. And what I didn't realize is Singapore is a 10% Christian country. And what was so unique about it is, after the fact, I had 4 Muslim women walk up to me and say, Mr. Scott, can we get our picture made with you? And I said, well, certainly. But I said, and please take this as I intended. I don't purport to understand your culture, but I didn't think you did a lot of that. And they said, oh, we don't. And I said, well, then why would you want to take a picture with me? We only take pictures of things and people we want to honor. Well, that's very nice. Why would you want to honor me? Because you made us cry. Well, okay, now I'm really confused. Why would you want to honor me when I made you cry? They said, because for the first time in our life, you encouraged us to have faith. You didn't try to convert us. For that, we honor you. So
Mm.
I learned a really big spiritual point. My belief is obviously God and Jesus Christ. It's a Christian belief. But my real belief is that my job is to be a living example of my belief and encourage everyone to have a belief.
Yes.
Not
Yes.
necessarily the same one that I have. Now, if they want to, that's cool. But that's not my job. My job is to live my belief fully. And just as it's yours to live yours fully, right? So
Yes.
that's not my role. My role is to do what I've been put on the planet to do to make a positive impact on the planet.
Yes. Thank you. And it's amazing to me because a lot of times people have negative connotations with someone that sells. And I love the fact that sales is a beautiful profession and you bring your heart, fully compassionate heart to selling. And because I know you, that you will shy away from, you will move away from people that aren't heart based.
Right.
So I thank you and I honor you for that. So it's what's the best way if someone is intrigued and they like what you're sharing and they'd like to know a little more about Scott Schilling and maybe even about heart based selling, how could they get a hold of you? What is the best way to get a hold of you?
Well, my email is very difficult. It's scott@scottschilling.com. My website is scottschilling.com. And then you can also go to talkingwithgiants.com. And so to your point on the selling, I've taught for years, I don't ever want to sell you anything, but I always want you to buy a lot from me. Therefore, it's my responsibility to create an environment for you to buy. In other words, I have to make you comfortable with the features, advantages, and benefits of what my offering has. So therefore, it becomes your decision. That's what Heartbase is. It's about a relationship. It's about a connection between two individuals where I have a potential solution to your problem. That's all it is. That's why it's an honorable profession. All I really am is a solution provider.
Yes. So you mentioned your book Talking with Giants and I've read it. What just a quick synopsis. What is your Talking with Giants about?
Well, talking with giants was really the foundational piece of wisdom in it is that generosity builds prosperity, not the other way around. We don't prosper then give. We give then prosper. We don't give to prosper, but it is the natural byproduct and the natural law that when we give, we in fact prosper. So what I did is I was very fortunate to have some great friends that I interviewed: Jack Canfield, Mark Victor Hansen Harbecker, Cynthia Kersey, the CEO of Kimberly Clark. And what I found is every giant has got a philanthropic bent to them. They have a desire to give back. Not only are they a giant in their business or their industry, but they have a desire to prosper others. And so that's what we really focused on. Who do you support? Why do you support it? Why should we support it with you? There's actually 21 charities tied to the book Talking with Giants.
Cool. Thank you. And to me, I find that as you become more heart based, and whether you're spiritual, religious, or whatever, whenever you become heart based, I discovered that it's easier to give and give and give and give, and from that, then the person has to learn to receive, and so the universe, so that you can accumulate your wealth. So many people will give and give and give, and then when the universe tries to reward them, they push it away.
Yeah, I'm definitely a recovery non-receiver. Yeah, I it has been actually a challenge for me to receive, and I'm working diligently on that. So therefore, anybody who wants to send anything my way, I'm all for. I got to make more announcements, but no, it really is it's a circle, and there's a yin and a yang. We got to give back, we've got to receive and give, and we have to do that to be fulfilled.
So as we're all, I believe we're all spiritual beings. As a spiritual being, if I'm, this is out of my right field, your left field. What would be your favorite piece of advice to someone that's just starting to look for what spirituality and what spirituality means to them? Any thoughts?
Oh yeah, well I think the biggest part is that I truly believe that you have to believe. If you think you're it, you're not. Um, there's something bigger than you. There's someone. There's something. But I would find what gives you really a peace about it and an encouragement about it. Something, when I pray, I truly believe that those prayers are heard and they are answered. And I have a faith. See, it's interesting. Faith and fear share the same definition. Belief in the unseen, assurance of the unknown. Well,
Yes.
that's fear. Belief in the unseen, assurance of the unknown is fear. You fear something's going to happen, but it's also faith. Faith is belief in the unseen, assurance of the unknown. So I think that you have to sit on that positive side and really have faith and know that in fact there's something bigger out there that cares for you and is a place of refuge for you. And I would encourage a relationship as opposed to a religion.
Wow. Thank you. So just as an aside, have you seen the movie The Shack yet?
I've read the book. I haven't seen the movie yet, but we're going to.
Yeah. Had a friend that gave me the book. I loved the book, and I liked it because and I would suspect some devout Christians are offended because of the characteristics or the characters that the author used to explain God and Jesus and Mary. And I'm like, I wasn't offended. I really enjoyed the book.
Well, one of my friends said it the best about this kind of situation: learn to become unoffendable. There's just, we can pick anything apart if we really want to. We have so much choice in being offended or not being offended, or that's not the way, it's not congruent with the way this book says it, or that, it's like, what's the bottom line? Are they talking about relationship and where you feel closer to your source? That's a good thing.
Sweet. So what is so you had this stroke through almost, well, it'll be coming up 3 years. What are you propelling yourself forward towards? What are you slowly or quickly or moving towards? What is your vision of your world by being
Well,
propelled?
I wish it was my vision, but I'm pretty sure it was an implanted vision. Uh,
Yes.
Developing a community of over 1 million people around the world that truly care about each other, positively impacting 1 billion lives on the planet, causing over $100 million in charitable giving. And I've seen a vision of having 120,000 people in AT&T Stadium in Dallas and bringing 30,000 people to a relationship with Christ. And those are some pretty heavy things, but it's all good.
It is. And as we both know in the personal growth that till you have a vision that is so big that it absolutely terrifies you, then we know we're on. That's the goal we got to shoot for. If it doesn't terrify you, then it's not big enough.
Well, I was doing a radio show not long ago, and I said to positively impact 1 billion lives on the planet. And the radio show host said, "Well, that's kind of crazy." And I said, "Why?" So Zuckerberg is better than I am. Facebook touches 1.8 million people. I'm sorry, 1.8 billion people a month. Why can I not do that, right? And I said, what if I'm terrible at it and I hit 100 million, or I suck at it and I hit 10 million, or if I'm horrible and I hit 1 million, would that be okay? And he said, you're serious, aren't you? And I said, well, why can't we want to lift each other up and do good with other people as opposed to trying to do not good? It makes no sense to me. I said to a friend one day, I said, can't we just all get along? He goes, no, we're not wired that way. And I said, I refuse to accept that. That's crazy. I mean, I'm no different than you. Well, I am. You're Canadian, but no. But the point is that I've got so many great Canadian friends, and it's just like, okay, so you live in a different place, but we're all just people, right? Working to do good things on the planet to make the planet, be more harmonious. And I mean, you just figure out after a period of time, that we're all just people. Get rid of the ego. Stop edging God out. Let's just kind of be us and be the best us we can be.
So to the viewers that are just tuning in and catching Scott and I, one of the things that I really appreciate about Scott is when usually in either his email or at the end of a conversation, he always says something to the effect of, what can I do to be of service to you? And many people in my realm have said similar things. What I truly appreciate about Scott is he absolutely means it. It's from his core of existence that he's driven. If he can help you, he will help you. And if he can't help you, he knows somebody that can help you. So he's still helping you. So I love that. And so thank you. Thank you.
My pleasure. It's funny because when I first started putting that as my email, said, please let me know how I can be of service to you. Somebody wrote back right away and said, what do you want from me? I said, I don't want anything from you. And they said, well, why are you offering service to me? And I said, because you might need it. And they said, well, what if I don't? And I said, well, then I won't. What do you want me to say? Right? Yeah. I can't control how you accept the message. I can only control the intent and the delivery of the message.
Yes. And so for those viewers, Scott, to get a hold of Scott, it's really tough. His website is scottschilling.com. And you can go on there and you can learn more about Scott, and you won't be disappointed. He truly, I believe, with all my heart and all my being, that Scott walks his talk. If he says he's going to do something, he's going to do it. And he's a heart-based man. And that's, as I said, when we first met and he's introduced himself, said, hi, my name's Scott, and I teach heart-based selling. It was like, to me, it was like love at first sight. I had a bromance going on there. And then, yeah. So it's been, we still got a few more minutes. Where do you think the evolution of, this might be a big question, but we'll try to keep it, the evolution of spirituality is going to take us?
Well, I think that troubled times cause us to seek something bigger and greater. And I think that the I, I, I think it's ultimately part of the design, unfortunately, is there has to be turmoil for people get complacent. If things are too good, they get complacent. If things get too bad, it's complacent, but it's kind of that in between. And I think we're kind of in that, that we've had to have, it's unfortunate that we have to have that to inspire us to be better. But I think it's taken some crud for people to really realize that we can pull together. We can be far more positive. We can, you know, I love, I was fortunate enough to know Zig Ziglar before he passed. And, you'd sit there and say, Zig, is positivity really work? He goes, well, I think it does, but it's a whole lot better than just being negative. And
Yes.
so, is it Pollyanna? Whatever. I mean, it's whatever you think. We all have problems in our lives. We all have stuff, but so much of it is a choice. It's like somebody a friend of mine posted on my Facebook page today, a thing about being right. And I said, you've got a choice. You can be right or you can be happy, but either one's a choice.
Yes.
So, so many different things that we do in life are just a matter of choice. And why don't we choose to lift each other up? Why don't we choose to love and hug each other instead of hit each other? Why not smile instead of crying? It's a choice.
I resonate with the 9/11 was a terrible thing, but the beautiful after effect was the love that it brought to not just to New York, but to the globe. Like, it was
Yeah.
a horrific event, and there's been horrific events afterwards, and they've all assisted in raising our capacity to love.
Yeah, I think so. I think that the biggest part is we have to make a decision, and unfortunately too many times it takes being sick and tired of being sick and tired. We've got to get to that point where we've just had enough, and then you've got to do something else. And so you can care about people and you can do things, I'm a hugger. It's funny. Sometimes I'll be on stage and I'll announce from stage, everybody, I just want you to know I'm a hugger. So when I'm done, feel free to come give me a hug. And it's amazing. I'll get more guy hugs than girl hugs by far. And it's like, because you've finally given somebody permission to, just feel good about something. And I think we have that opportunity if we would just all come together and work for the common good and work to lift people up and see the good in situations, see the good in people. Man, just think what it could be. And even if we don't hit utopia, what if we come close? Wouldn't it be fun? I think so.
I think that's wonderful. And with that, we will say thank you. So you can get a hold of Scott at scottschilling.com. And I want to thank you for taking the time out of your busy day, my friend.
Oh, my pleasure. Thanks for the invite. Anytime you need me, I'm here for you, brother.
Thank you.